Hello and welcome to your NEWSMAX Daily for Tuesday, June 18th, 2024, the 170th day of the year, 3 days away from the official start of summer, even though we have near record and record high temperatures in many parts of the country already.
It is hot out here. It's getting hot now.
And you may have to ditch your Taco Tuesday special today for sushi. Today is International Sushi Day, which has been around for hundreds, literally hundreds of years, sushi as we know it, not necessarily Sushi Day. Today is also National Cherry Tart Day. You either love it or hate it. Congratulations to the Boston Celtics and their fans everywhere. The Celtics beat Dallas 106-88 last night in Boston to win their record 18th NBA championship.
Banner number 18 has been secured. The Celtics are NBA champions.
ESPN's Mike Breen on the call. The NHL Stanley Cup Championship continues tonight in South Florida with the Florida Panthers looking to win their first championship in franchise history. They have a 3-1 games lead on Edmonton, who completely dominated Florida in the last game, but another historic sports championship is on the line and could be claimed tonight. Could be the Panthers' first ever Stanley Cup. In Washington, President Biden and the First Lady are hosting an event at the White House marking the 12th anniversary of DACA, Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, a controversial program created by President Obama to protect certain undocumented immigrants or illegal immigrants that were brought into the country as children. If you're undocumented, that means you came into the country illegally, but undocumented just sounds better, a nicer term. After that ceremony, the Bidens are headed to Virginia for another campaign event. And as I anticipated on yesterday's Daily, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was inundated with questions about President Biden's behavior in California over the weekend and at some other recent events. This exchange with NEWSMAX senior White House correspondent James Rosen in yesterday's White House press briefing.
American voters who are telling pollsters repeatedly for years now that they have serious concerns about this president's cognitive fitness are being misled by cheap fake videos? Is that
I'm saying that there have been, in recent weeks, there have been cheap fake videos that have been fact-checked. They've been fact-checked by conservative media as well to say that these videos are false. They're purposefully being altered.
So the videos are purposely being altered to make the perfectly fine and okay President Biden look bad. Karine Jean-Pierre also questioned about 2 weekend shootings, one in Texas that killed 2 people, injured dozens of others, and another shooting in Detroit that injured 9 people. This all after a Maryland mother was killed by a man from El Salvador believed to be in the country illegally.
The president has been tracking these tragedies. We are praying for the families who lost loved ones to these senseless violence and wishing all those who were injured a speedy recovery.
Typical insensitive boilerplate stuff. This is NEWSMAX host Todd Starnes.
Well, the big question tonight, does Joe Biden belong in the White House or a nursing home? There are growing concerns across the nation about the mental capacity and the cognitive abilities of President Biden. Over the weekend, President Trump held a town hall meeting in a black church in Detroit. Now, the president fielded unscripted questions from regular folks. Afterwards, he brought down a house during a massive people's convention sponsored by Turning Point Action. While Trump was with the people, President Biden was hobnobbing with the rich and famous and Botoxed in Hollywood, sharing a stage with former President Obama. At times, Biden struggled to verbalize his thoughts. It was absolutely painful. And towards the end of the event, Biden literally froze on stage. President Obama had to literally grab him by the arm and escort him off the stage. This is the leader of the free world, ladies and gentlemen. So why did he freeze? What did he see? Another dead person in the audience? Well, we may never know. But what the entire world saw was Barack Obama, out of absolute necessity, physically grabbing our president, pulling him off the stage before this depressing display of weakness got any worse. And last week at the G7 summit, President Biden simply wandered away from other world leaders. We don't know what he was doing. Was he distracted by a squirrel or some sort of woodland creature? The Italian prime minister rushed over and helped gently corral the president. Had it not been for her fast thinking, well, the Secret Service might have issued a silver alert. Very strange behavior. Getting lost on stage, sniffing small children, and most recently, nuzzling the forehead of Pope Francis. That was weird. The White House press corps peppered Karine Jean-Pierre with questions earlier today, and our very own James Rosen led the charge.
I don't have anything. I don't know specifically what happened with Maloney.
The wandering, the parachutist.
Oh, I mean, look, that was, as I said, it was a cheap, a cheap fake. That was definitely a cheap fake. It was. This was widely fact-checked. That video was widely fact-checked, including by conservative media, on what happened, what occurred. The president walked over to give a thumbs up to divers who had just landed right in front of him. And if you run that tape a little bit longer, you would see what was happening, what the president was actually doing, and it is a cheap fake.
Rosen then brought up the bizarre moment during that Juneteenth concert. Remember that one, Billy Porter? The bearded guy in a dress getting his groove on alongside the second gentleman and the VP? Yeah, that was weird. Anyway, Biden, he just stood frozen.
That video was okay. Let's talk about Juneteenth. The president stood there listening to the music, and he didn't dance. Excuse me, I did not know not dancing was a health issue. That is a weird thing to actually flag when if you look at the people who are around him, you look at the expanded video of the people who were around him. They were not. There were some folks who were not dancing either, and that has been fact-checked. I mean, just because you're standing up listening to music and not dancing, that is not a health issue.
But the reality is, all of those videos have been authenticated. These are not deep fakes. The videos are real. But if KJP wants to talk about deep fakes, okay, let's have that conversation. What about that 13-second video the White House released that included 5 jump cuts, edit marks? They had to start and stop a 13-second video 5 times.
That's Todd Starnes, host of the Todd Starnes Show, 5 o'clock Eastern on Newsmax 2. Bianca De La Garza spoke about it with former acting director of national intelligence and ambassador to Germany, Ric Grenell.
Obama kind of putting his hand on his back, walking him off. I'll play that video again. You know, the senior advisor to Obama, Eric Schultz, posting on X saying, this did not happen. Of course, it's just like what they said on the G7 when he's distracted looking away and Giorgia Meloni brings him back to the crowd. They don't want you to believe what you're seeing. What do you think we're seeing here? Is this sort of is he lost, or is Obama signaling to folks like, hey, I'm still running things behind the scenes here. You vote for Joe, but you got me.
Maybe it's a little bit of both, but what's clear is that the Biden campaign thinks they can get away with denying what we see in a video. You know, they're in Hollywood with a bunch of millionaires who are trying to say that inflation is not a problem. They're in Hollywood with a bunch of millionaires who are trying to say the war in Ukraine and the war in Gaza is no problem. But they're going to have to raise a lot more money than they have. They're going to have to spend quite a bit of cash in order to convince the American people that we're not at war and that inflation is not a problem. The reason why they keep doing it is because they've been able to get away with it because they control the media. They control the narrative. But something that's happened with social media is we're seeing this video immediately because of social media. In the old days, we would have never seen this video. No media outlet would have put it on. But thanks to organizations like NEWSMAX and social media outlets like what Elon Musk has, we're able to see it immediately.
Yeah, the White House is none too happy about it.
Ambassador Ric Grenell on Newsline with Bianca De La Garza, who spoke on the same issue with Arizona Senate candidate Kari Lake.
They're trying to say what we're seeing with Joe Biden looking a little bit, weak and feeble. Don't believe this with your own eyes. And, Americans are seeing this, and we'll see it on a debate stage in just 10 days from now.
Yeah, they're trying to say what you saw didn't happen. We've known Obama is the puppet master, and we've finally seen the puppet master, Obama, pulling the strings on his puppet, Joe Biden. And it was actually scary. When you think about it, Biden being this figurehead, really all he is a figurehead. He's not calling the shots. I don't think he can even tell what kind of ice cream he's eating these days. And so, that man on the stage, frankly, none of them are fit to be president right now. But Joe Biden especially is not. And it almost feels like elder abuse. It feels like when, we've all had that elderly relative at some point who we notice is starting to, their mind is starting to go or their mind has completely gone. Yeah. And we're thinking, how do we get them help? But what does Jill Biden do? She rolls them out. She puts them on stage. She puts them on the national stage. And it's painful to watch and painful knowing that guy is in charge of our nuclear codes. He's in charge of our country. It's really scary. We have a chance to change that November 5th when we vote for President Trump, who's strong and ready to lead and ready to turn things around for us.
Yes. And, he has the nuclear codes, and the world right now is not in a safe situation. We talked about the immigration, the ISIS terrorists, coming in through our border. But what did they talk about? They want to talk about Donald Trump being the threat to democracy. This is part of what he said in that fundraiser with all the elites here, talking about Donald Trump, who could appoint 2 Supreme Court justices if he's reelected. Let's play a little bit of this.
Elect me again. I'll tell you why. No, I'm not just saying. The next president is likely to have 2 new Supreme Court nominees. 2 more. He's already appointed 2 that have been very negative in terms of the rights of individuals. The idea that if he's reelected, he's going to appoint 2 more flying flags upside down is really, I really mean it.
Flags upside down. Well, I hope whoever gets appointed can define a woman. This is absurd that they are trying to use this. The fear mongering. Is this the latest playbook here? Now this is this because he can't run on his record, Kari.
Well, that's the reason to actually, another reason to vote for President Trump, because he will very likely be naming new Supreme Court picks and judicial picks and all of that. And they have to go through confirmation in the U.S. Senate. So we have to make sure we get the majority in the U.S. Senate. Joe Biden has literally destroyed everything he's touched. The economy is the #1 issue right now, especially with young voters 18 to 39. They say that they cannot afford living. They don't see how their life is going to get better. They only see a future that is bleak with this economy, Bidenomics economy. It doesn't work. And so, I don't think that's going to work with voters who are struggling to make ends meet, who are watching as they're being displaced. Their jobs are going away. They're being replaced by foreign workers. And they're watching as their quality of life goes down the tubes. I don't think their young voters are really worried about what Joe Biden is talking about.
Arizona Senate candidate Kari Lake on Newsmax. We're now 139 days away from Election Day. And with all eyes on the big prize, the White House, control of the Senate is also up for grabs and is also extremely important. There are several states where Republican candidates are in striking distance of beating sitting Democrats. More from Rob Finnerty on Wake Up America.
Battleground Nevada is one of those states, and joining me now for more on his race is Iraq War veteran Sam Brown, who won the Republican nomination last week. Sam, it's great to have you back on this morning, and thank you so much for your service. So you are running against an incumbent Democratic Senator, Jackie Rosen there. The latest poll out of Nevada has you trailing in that race by about 14 points. We've got 4.5 months to go. How do you make up that ground and win this election?
Rob, I appreciate you having me on. As President Trump said, Nevada is the battleground. Now, the thing is, I'm not sure what that poll is. You have to be careful. There's a lot of garbage polls out there. The poll that I've seen most recently, and one not too favorable to Republicans, is New York Times, shows Jackie Rosen and I tied 41-41 out of likely voters. And that's why President Trump said that when we win Nevada, he wins the White House. And when we win Nevada in the Senate race, we also take back the majority. So we're well positioned against a weak incumbent senator who was put in place by the late Harry Reid. And this is an opportunity to make sure that Chuck Schumer has a bad day.
Yeah, really good point. Her campaign has been talking about that poll a lot recently, so that's where we got it from. But I understand you that a lot of these polls tend to skew toward the Democratic candidate. What's the Trump endorsement done for your campaign?
You know what any endorsement by President Trump does is it resonates with people who have been ill affected by Joe Biden and his policies. The number one and number two issue in Nevada right now with voters, and this isn't just with Republican voters, but this is with independent voters as well, is the border and also the high cost of goods, whether it's at the gas pump or our utility bills, groceries. People are really struggling, and what once used to be an opportunity to achieve the American dream has been turned into a real American nightmare under Joe Biden and Jackie Rosen, who's voted along with his agenda 98% of the time.
Nevada Republican Senate candidate and Iraq War veteran Sam Brown on Wake Up America. Over on Capitol Hill today, in the Senate, specifically, the CEO of Boeing is facing questions from senators who accuse the company of putting profits before safety. This all stems from the near crash of a Boeing 737 MAX 9 jet after a door blew off the plane in mid-flight and several other issues with several other 737 MAX 9s. And House Speaker Mike Johnson spent Monday with former President Donald Trump at Trump's Palm Beach home and resort, posting a picture of the two on X, saying in part that the party is united and working together, and he's confident that President Trump will get back in the White House. You can read more about that, see the photo at newsmax.com. And a bipartisan group of House members are headed to Israel this week for the annual summer trip to Israel. This year's trip obviously going to present some much different circumstances than usual, with the war continuing there. Democrat Denny Hoyer of Maryland is leading the delegation that usually includes the House Speaker. However, House Speaker Mike Johnson and House Majority Leader Steve Scalise will not be on this year's trip. When they get to Israel, I'm sure we'll be hearing from Jerusalem correspondent Daniel Cohen. And let's wrap it up with this segment from Greg Kelly Reports.
Hey, anyone notice something odd? An absence of some people who probably have a big story to tell. The fake news always obsesses about what jurors have to say after a big trial, like the Trump trial. Why haven't we heard from the jurors? They haven't been on the Today Show. They haven't been on 60 Minutes. I have not heard a peep out of these jurors. What is going on? This was a trial of global importance, right? They wanted us all obsessed with it. And the fake news, they were, legal panels after legal panels and live coverage, all that stuff. And we haven't heard a peep from the jurors. Don't they want to hear from them? What is going on? It's pretty much kind of customary to talk to the jurors after a big case, even with the most controversial, potentially dangerous defendants like El Chapo, the drug lord from, where's he from, Mexico? Remember, they went down there, or actually the Mexicans got him, brought him here. It was pretty amazing. Well, he was convicted of about 50,000 crimes, and afterwards, guess what happened? One of the jurors talked. Yeah, the jurors spoke regarding the conviction and everything that was going on in the deliberation room. How about John Gotti? All right, they told us he was a bad mobster, and after it went down, we actually did hear from one of the jurors after he was convicted. Granted, he wanted his identity kind of shrouded. They digitized it. He didn't want to be known. But this is kind of what happens. Whitey Bulger, the guy from Boston who was on the run, he killed, they say, 150 people with his bare hands. He liked to strangle people, they say. I read that once. The judge told the jury right after the verdict, you can say now whatever you want. You are free to discuss the case with anyone you would like to discuss it with, but you're also free not to. And the not to part, right, lends itself to this whole fake narrative that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, a threat to the criminal justice, and these people have to fear for their safety. No, they don't. That is a myth. And Stephen Colbert says he got a juror. This is a goof. It's not really that funny, but it's a little bit, I don't know what it is, but let's take a look.
Where are the jurors? They're now released by the judge and they're allowed to talk. So everyone in TV is fighting for the exclusive first interview. And ladies and gentlemen, The Late Show got it. Joining us right now on the condition of complete anonymity, please welcome juror number 11. Hello, juror number 11.
Hello, Stephen. It is great to be back on your show. I mean, on your show for the very first time.
All right. I think they're trying to have a joke, right? That's Melania. Ha, ha, ha. Voted to convict. If only the comedians, if only the media were kind of making fun of the powerful, right? That's kind of what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to afflict the comfort. How does it go again? Comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable, right? Comedians, media, journalists, and it's the opposite. And it's wrong. And they're letting them get away with so much.
Greg Kelly is the host of Greg Kelly Reports, weeknights at 9 o'clock Eastern on Newsmax. On Wall Street, stocks opened slightly higher this morning. Boeing is certainly going to be in focus with the CEO testifying on Capitol Hill, as I just mentioned, and AI stocks continue to be the big focus. Keep up with all of the news all day and night long on Newsmax, Newsmax Plus, and Newsmax.com, beginning each and every morning with Wake Up America. If you're not yet streaming on Newsmax Plus, go to NewsmaxPlus.com and get signed up. You can also get a free trial. It includes all of your favorite shows and hosts. Greg Kelly, Rob Schmidt Tonight, The Record with Greta Van Susteren, Carl Higbee, Bianca De La Garza, John Bachman, and more, as well as analysis from people like Kari Lake, Governor Mike Huckabee, Professor Dershowitz, Judge Napolitano. There's documentaries, special programming, and more. NewsmaxPlus.com. I'm Tony Marino. Thank you, as always, for listening to the Newsmax Daily. Appreciate that. Share it with your friends and family. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.